6 powerful diesel generators with a combined output of 22 megawatts were successfully delivered to the shipyard in April 2026, marking a critical step toward the completion of the Ivan Frolov, Russia's most ambitious scientific vessel to date. This vessel is expected to become the flagship of Russian polar research. However, despite the technical information that has been disclosed regarding the ship's propulsion system, one key question remains unresolved. Who is the actual supplier of these diesel generators? The manufacturer has not been mentioned by Russian sources, which has prompted altitude addict-style analysis, digging into Russia's shipbuilding ecosystem, sanctions environment, and industrial capabilities to identify the most likely suppliers. This is where the story opens up a bit wider than it first appears. The vessel is not just a ship. It sits right at the intersection of Arctic ambition, sanctions pressure, and industrial transition. So yes, we're talking about engines, but also about strategy, capability, and a quiet shift in how Russia builds its most critical machines. Now moving into what makes this vessel so significant, the Admiralty shipyards in St. Petersburg, one of Russia's oldest and most capable shipbuilding enterprises, is currently constructing the vessel. The ship, commissioned by Roshydromet, is intended for some of the most challenging environments on Earth. The Arc 7 Ice-class designation is assigned to Ivan Frolov, which is a member of Project 23680. This classification enables it to independently navigate through Arctic ice that is approximately 2 meters thick, with even greater capability when icebreakers assist. It is not merely an icebreaker, it is a hybrid platform integrating the functions of a research vessel, tanker, container carrier, and logistics hub. And honestly, the scale of it feels slightly unreal when you picture it. With a displacement of about 25,000 tons and accommodation for up to 240 people, it surpasses most scientific vessels globally. A dual helicopter hangar and up to 20 laboratories reinforce its role as a floating research base. As we move into the technical heart of the vessel, the entire system revolves around diesel-electric propulsion. Instead of engines directly turning propellers, the engines generate electricity, which then powers electric motors connected to the propulsion system. This configuration offers advantages that are not optional in Arctic conditions. It improves maneuverability, increases redundancy, and handles fluctuating loads far better than traditional systems. The integration with ice-class propulsion, including azimuth thrusters, is what really makes it work under pressure. At the core of all this are the 6 generators, 4 rated at 4 megawatts and 2 at 3 megawatts. Together, they ensure continuous operation in extreme cold, power-heavy onboard systems, and support laboratories that may be running around the clock. Which brings us back quite naturally to the unanswered question, who built them? Because in modern shipbuilding, the supplier of critical components is never just a technical detail. It reveals industrial strength and geopolitical reality. Before 2022, Russia depended heavily on Western manufacturers for marine engines and power systems. Companies like MAN Energy Solutions and Wärtsilä dominated this space, supplying engines for LNG carriers, icebreakers, and offshore vessels. Then sanctions changed everything, and quite abruptly, Western suppliers either exited or were restricted, forcing Russia to accelerate domestic production and rethink its supply chains almost overnight. That kind of shift doesn't happen cleanly, by the way. It's messy, layered, and ongoing. This is where altitude addicts would typically pause and zoom in on the most probable candidate, Kolomensky Zavod. Also known as the Kolomna plant, it is Russia's primary producer of medium-speed diesel engines for marine and rail applications. Over the past decade, Kolomensky Zavod has taken on a growing role in import substitution, particularly for naval and ice-class vessels. Its engines are already used across multiple Russian projects, including ice-breaking patrol ships and auxiliary fleets. More importantly, and this part matters, the company has been developing higher capacity marine engines suited for diesel-electric propulsion systems. The configuration seen on Ivan Frolov, with multiple medium-power generators rather than a few large ones, aligns closely with Kolomna's design philosophy. This modular setup also enhances redundancy, which is absolutely critical in Arctic missions. If one generator fails, the system doesn't collapse, it adapts. Simple idea, high stakes. Now, it would be too neat to say the story ends there. Even under sanctions, foreign influence doesn't disappear completely. It just becomes less visible. Earlier Arctic LNG carriers, especially those built under projects like Yamal LNG, relied heavily on man engines. Some vessels still under construction today use partially localized or adapted versions of those systems. However, for a flagship scientific vessel like Ivan Frolov, reliance on Western suppliers would be politically sensitive and strategically counterproductive. That strengthens the argument for a predominantly domestic solution, even if some legacy design influence remains. There is also quiet speculation about limited cooperation with non-Western partners. Chinese manufacturers, for instance, have been expanding their presence in marine engine markets. Still, there is no confirmed link to this particular project. Coming back to the shipyard itself, the integration of these generators into a unified system is a complex engineering challenge. Admiralty Shipyards brings decades of experience in building submarines and ice-class vessels, making it one of the few facilities capable of handling such complexity. By spring 2026, more than 100 sections of the vessel had already been assembled. The installation of the generators marks the transition from structural construction to systems integration, a phase where everything either starts working together or doesn't. And in Arctic conditions, failure is not really an option. Systems must synchronize perfectly with propulsion motors, onboard electrical networks, and power management systems. Even a small malfunction can escalate quickly in extreme cold. Expanding the lens further, the significance of Ivan Frolov goes well beyond engineering. It reflects Russia's broader strategic shift in the Arctic, where science, logistics, and geopolitics increasingly overlap. By building a vessel that combines research, transport, and supply capabilities, Russia is strengthening its year-round presence in polar regions. This supports environmental monitoring, resource exploration, and the operation of remote stations. The ship's ability to function in temperatures as low as -50 degrees Celsius makes it a versatile platform for both Arctic and Antarctic missions. Not many vessels can do that, to be fair. Ultimately, the question of the diesel generator supplier connects to a much larger narrative. Russia is attempting to build industrial self-reliance under pressure, and projects like this are real-world tests of that ambition. Success would strengthen domestic shipbuilding and reduce dependency on external suppliers. But the transition is complex, requiring advanced materials, precision engineering, and sustained investment. And here's the slightly awkward truth. Matching the efficiency and reliability of established Western manufacturers is not something that happens overnight. It takes time, iteration, and probably a few setbacks along the way. So the silence around the supplier may not be accidental. It reflects a system in transition, moving away from dependence but not yet fully settled into a new equilibrium. In that sense, Ivan Frolov becomes more than a ship. It is a symbol of adaptation, resilience, and evolving capability in a shifting geopolitical landscape. As construction progresses toward its planned completion in 2028, more details may emerge. Until then, the most grounded conclusion is that the diesel generators are part of Russia's localization push, most likely supplied by Kolomensky Zavod, possibly shaped by inherited or adapted foreign designs. And that leaves us with a final thought. When this vessel finally sails, it won't just be exploring the polar regions, it will also be carrying a story about how it was built, piece by piece, under pressure. If you liked the video, please subscribe, share, and like. Also, please take the membership of the channel to encourage us.